It depends on the age and if they've ever done any type of fasting before in their lives. First, we have to understand there's two types of fastings in the Orthodox Church. The first is not eating any food at all. That's the fast that we have for Holy Communion. From the time we go to bed till the time we receive communion, we're not supposed to eat or drink anything. Again, that's based on the age. A parent can decide if his 10 or 12 or 13-year-old child, usually by 10 or 12, they're probably ready not to eat breakfast and receive communion. The other type of fasting, which we're talking about here, is the restriction of the diet. Okay? The fast, a strict understanding of the fast is that you don't eat meat or dairy or poultry or fish or olive oil, and there's reasons for all this. But if you've never fasted before, this can be quite daunting. So what I tell people is that if you've never fasted for the 40 days of Great Lent, if you are not in the habit of fasting, try for the first year to fast on Wednesdays and Fridays strictly. Don't eat any meat, don't eat any fish, don't eat any dairy, don't eat the olive oil, and do that Wednesdays and Fridays. And then try and do as best you can Holy Week. So by then you've done a nice little fast, you've kind of gotten into the rhythm, and then you can carry that fast out throughout the year, because Wednesdays and Fridays are fast days in the church. Again, the day the Lord was given up and the day He died. And the other important thing about fasting that we have to remember is that fasting should not make us ill, and also that we have to follow our physician's guidance in what we eat. For instance, you may have to take medication in the morning, and the doctor says you've got to take this medication every morning with food. Then you take it with food. Other people have blood sugar problems. They have diabetes. They have all these things, and you have to eat a fairly protein-rich diet. So you do that as best you can.
There's also a spiritual component to fasting, and that is the fact that what goes in your mouth is not nearly as important as what comes out of your mouth. And so depending on the person and the situation, if they've never fasted before, of course, the food aspect of it is very important, and you can't divide the two. But I would also say maybe for somebody who may have some kind of impediments to eating or not eating certain foods, I would ask them to not cuss, to watch what they say to other people, to praise instead of put down, things like that. Because of course, as Pseudo Dionysius said in the 6th century in the Desert of Egypt, he said, we take something away from our lives, but we fill that empty space with Christ. We don't just leave ourselves empty. We don't just leave a void, because when you leave a void, you allow the devil and other things to come in. And so you want to always fill that space with Christ Himself. And also, it also kind of puts this thought into your mind that you're not just doing it for the sake of doing it. You're doing it because you want to have a relationship with Christ.